Yeah, for the taxpayers, they have to comply with the Federal Tax Authority laws and regulation. In case of the taxpayer applying for tax refund or tax adjustment, for example, or penalty waivers, they have to be so keen in order to provide the authority with detailed and clear information. On top of that, there must be no tax liability or tax dues. Example for tax liability should not be any tax liability from kind of fine or penalties. Tax dues is tax dues. Tax dues for the previous period must be zero liability, zero balance, means all tax for the last period or until the date of requesting or applying for tax refund, the record of the taxpayer must be clean and clear from any kind of liability and fines. Indeed, and in reality, in the United Arab Emirates, the corporate tax does not affect the business setup demand at all. We are seeing more of demand on business setup and investments in United Arab Emirates. The reason simply is the corporate tax rate is still lower than the rate in other countries. You have countries like Canada and America, the income tax, or call it the corporate tax, sometimes it's reached to 32%, 22%, 30%. But in Emirates, in United Arab Emirates, the corporate tax rate is 9%, which it is affordable and does not affect the decision maker in order to register their businesses in United Arab Emirates. As per the law, once a business achieve a certain criteria, they must register themselves with Federal Tax Authority. Now we have threshold of 375,000, and in this case the registration is mandatory, and we have voluntary registration, which is half of the said amount. What is the advantage of disadvantage of registration? The advantage of registration will enable the businesses to claim a tax refund. When you issue your sales invoice, you have to add 5% VAT. This 5%, you might think that you are paying this from your pocket, but indeed you are not paying this from your pocket. You are collecting the 5% from the receiver of your supply, and here I am saying supply. I avoid saying goods or services. I avoid saying sales or purchase, because back to the 375,000, the 375,000 altogether is a supply. Supply means purchase, expense, and sales. This is in very simple terminologies. So once the business achieve the 375,000 dirham, UAE dirham supply, they must immediately register themselves with the tax authority, which it is called Federal Tax Authority, FTA. I mean, the registration will enable the businesses to claim a tax refund. Whatever they paid, they can refund. You can assume if your business not registered and you made a supply of 1 million dirham, you can imagine that you will lose 50,000 dirham, which you will not be entitled to claim a refund. But once you are registered, you will be able to claim a refund of every penny you contribute with FTA. Contribute means you paid in the system. What is the disadvantage? The disadvantage, those businesses or taxpayer who are not registered, they are not entitled to claim a tax refund, which means it restricts your ability and capability to work with suppliers and banks and clients. Because nowadays, after 2018, after the VAT law become an enforcement, most of the supplier and parties who is dealing with your businesses, first things they are asking, what is your TRN number? TRN means tax registration number. Those who does not register, they do not have one. And once they do not have one, that means there is a restriction and there is lot of opportunity might lost because they will not be able to deal and business with other parties. In addition, it will be impossible, they will not be eligible to claim tax refund. Yes, now there is a lot of difficulties, technical difficulties and managerial challenges at the beginning. Most of the business owner and taxpayers, when they become for the first time involved in tax filing, let's say, or tax registration. Tax registration, it was really challenging, especially at the beginning, because there was a criteria has to be satisfied related to the amount of tax supplies and documentation required for registration. That time or that phase, it was challenging. Now, next to the tax registration, there is tax filing. In VAT, there is a quarterly filing. In income tax or corporate tax, there is yearly filing. And both of them are challenging. What kind of challenges are there? Most of the challenges are technical. Accounting, financial, organization is challenging, and documentation. So that means as long as the business owner, the taxpayer, they do not have sufficient knowledge, sufficient experience in preparation and preparing themselves for the tax, the challenges will continue. But because of the knowledge which available in the market of employment, in the UAE, there is usually good accountants. Anytime the business thinking to hire knowledgeable, experienced accountant in tax, either in VAT or corporate tax, there is good supply, and usually the supply is sufficient for the demand. Indeed, the corporate tax in United Arab Emirates did not make a bad impact on those new businesses registered in the United Arab Emirates or on those businesses who moved from other countries to the United Arab Emirates. In addition to that, most of the businesses who registered in the free zones are entitled for a tax relief, especially if they satisfy such a criteria. There is a criteria need to be satisfied, which we call it a qualified income. When a business is in the free zone within United Arab Emirates satisfying the criteria, they will become automatically, or they will apply to something called the qualified income, and the qualified income will be means exempted from the 9% corporate tax in United Arab Emirates. Indeed, yes, after implementing the laws and regulation of tax, especially corporate tax and value-added tax, the demand on professional services are increasing. Every company nowadays in need, and particularly maybe they already hired and contract with accounting and bookkeeping and auditing service providers. So the service providers in professional services such as accounting, auditing, tax consulting, and also law advisor, especially in tax field. These fields are really having very, very high demand after the tax laws and regulation implemented in United Arab Emirates. The infrastructure of the United Arab Emirates itself is encouraging the investors to register and start their businesses in United Arab Emirates. The country used to be tax-free, and even after the tax laws and regulation implemented, I can consider it as tax affordable. It is not tax-free anymore, but it is tax affordable and reasonable. Look at the corporate tax rate. It is only 9%. So when the investor thinking where to invest, which country to register my business or start my business, they absolutely think of United Arab Emirates. Not only because of the tax rate are reasonable and affordable, but also because of the state itself ready and full-fledged with infrastructures and facility. So a lot of facility provided by the government itself. When you look at the free zones themselves are made for encouraging those businesses who want to grow so easily in the free zone, the infrastructure, the facility. In addition to free zone, the banking system. We have very, very solid and strong banking system. Lot of investor, lot of businesses can avail credit facility from the banking system without any struggle, without any difficulties. That's why the UAE infrastructure and rules and regulation, in addition to the affordable and inexpensive tax rate, those are factors. In addition to what I mentioned above, these are factors can attract, and truly they are attracting businesses to the United Arab Emirates. As per the company's law in United Arab Emirates, maintaining accounting records and accounting book either manually or digitally, it is mandatory. The advantage of having accounting books are many. Advantages related to the tax and tax rules and regulation, and advantages related to the evidence and proofs. What we advise as a consultant, the business owner, the business managers, to start accounting from the day one. Do not wait. Every single penny you spend from the day one, it must be recorded. Do not lose or miss any opportunity so that your accounting can be accurate, especially in expense. Because as everyone know, the revenue, it might not come from the day one, but from the day one, even before the businesses having their physical office or physical space, they start spending simply on business registration. They will choose the trade name, reserve the trade name, applying, processing, paying the fees. Everything must be documented. It is very, very important, but also it is mandatory. Every regulated businesses in UAE must have their accounting, a proper accounting, so that they will enjoy having peace of mind, and they will enjoy having a clarity and no liability at all. Yes, I can say the inspection, tax inspection and tax audit, it helps in education, it helps in awareness. So most of the taxpayer, they gain more tax awareness, tax knowledge, and they become comply with rules and regulation. There is a tax audit. Sometimes the authority notifying a particular taxpayer, they want to conduct a tax audit, and this is rarely happening. This is happening only when there is a suspicion or there is a request or demand which seems or looks extraordinary or strange to the authority. In such cases, the authority is notifying the taxpayer that there will be a tax audit. Indeed, at the beginning, the business owners and taxpayers looking at both either value-added tax or corporate tax or any kind of tax. At the beginning, they look at it like an issue or difficulties or challenging, technically challenging, financially challenging. Yes, such these behaviors, we observe such these behaviors, and in reality, such behavior day by day, it is waived by itself. So when the business owners and the taxpayer become used to the tax system, used to the tax payment on time and tax regulation, tax laws, it will not continue looks like an issue or difficulties or challenging. It will looks like an ordinary things which is everyday practice. So such difficulties, it will ease day by day, it will ease and it will look normal. For example, when the VAT tax, value added tax started in 2018, because it was the first time ever in the UAE a tax is applied. So most of businesses, most of taxpayers, they been on panic in sense of technicality, in sense of knowledge and know-how. But later on, let's say now, after 8 years, it become normal and every panic and difficulties was eased. So this is the nature of things. At the beginning, looks difficult, looks challenging, looks panicking, but at the end, day by day, it become normal. So the companies in the free zone, they get benefited from the corporate tax exemption, but they have to satisfy a certain criteria. Those criteria such as they have to have physical presence in the free zone, like they have to have an office or a place of work, and they have to employ employees in the free zone. These are the most important two factors. In addition, they have to satisfy the rules of transfer pricing. Some of the free zone companies having branches or having main office or main company in the mainland or inside the free zone itself, they have a sister company, affiliated company, related party company. So in this case or in such cases, transfer prices theory are applied. So in case of a business inside the free zone that needed or trying to get themselves qualified for what we call it a qualified income, yes, they have to have physical presence, they have to have real employees in the free zone, and they have to satisfy the transfer pricing if it is applied. In this case only, they will be eligible to have a privilege of exemption from the 9% corporate tax.